Hi, and welcome to the first of this year's short shows. And as you can see, I've got the framework now built on the polytunnel. Now I can measure this off and build the doors so everything is moving in the right direction. So today's little show is all about planting. We're going to be putting out tomato plants into the ground in the greenhouse, and we're going to be planting some summer bedding and putting in the nice Philadelphia shrub in the front garden. So lots to crack on with in the next 10 minutes or so. Well, welcome to the greenhouse, and it's time for me to start putting my tomato plants into the ground. Now, before I put them in, I like to build my framework for them to climb up, and I'm using my trusted canes for that. So I'm just going to put one around about 300 mil in from the edge in the centre here. That'll give that a nice support there. Still a little bit of string on here from last year. And then I will run more along the middle here. And this is going to give me my main support. Stop it blowing around. Get a nice little knot on here. And then tie that down onto the frame. This is going to just give it that support for my strings to come up from the plants. And I'll show you exactly what I mean as I go through that. And I'm just going to tie another one onto the end here. Well, there we have the frame. And this is going to take the strings that I run off the bottom of my plants. So now it's time to start putting the plants in with those strings. So first of all, I'm going to make a little hole in here, ready to take the first of my plants. And then we're going to just, first of all, put a little bit of water in there, just to hold some of this together, so I know what I'm doing. And that is going to be a nice little welcome for these plants. And also in the bottom of each hole, I'm just going to put a little bit of a rooting growth fertilizer, which will help the plants to grow. And then we're going to take our string and we're going to run that from the top. Just tie that nicely onto the top. Down to the hole. Give ourselves a bit of spare. Pop our plant out of the pot. And we've got some lovely roots on there. And all we're going to do is bring that down around here into the hole. And then we're going to fill that in nicely around here. And as the roots grow and it holds that down, the plant can then be trained up here. And we'll water that one in. This is the first of quite a few. We're going to have another one here, there. So we get 4, maybe 5 good plants in here to give us our tomato harvest this year. Good start on that. So that's the first of these. Now I think it's time to just move up and have a look at some summer bedding that's going to be going in. Well, this is our winter flowers, and we're going to be lifting these out. I'm not going to be losing these. I'm going to be lifting and reusing these in some baskets and some pots at the front. A few weeds which we'll just get rid of. But also with these pansies, we can take some cuttings of these as well. And this is a prime example of one where I'm going to get some nice cuttings off of that. But all these weeds we're going to clear out, and then we're going to lift just some of this compost out of here, tidy this up a little bit, refresh the compost on the top before we plant up a new display for the summer. I'll carry on with that for a minute. Well, I've refreshed the compost, given it a little bit of a water. Now it's all ready for planting up with my summer petunias. You may remember I showed you a couple of months ago I was growing some petunias in the greenhouse. They've been potted on now and they're growing up quite nicely, and they're going to come in here and give me some colour. So I'm just going to make some little holes in here. Now I have already mixed in a feed with this compost, so they should be nice and lovely. Got a lovely amount of root coming on these. I'm just going to put these in around the edge, firm them around, and I'm going to try and alternate the colours to give me a nice display. They will spread a little bit, so I'm going to put them about 3 to 4 inches apart. There's another one here, and there. I'm just going to pop them into the ground. Oh, pulled that one sideways, so let's pop that in nicely. And fill these in all the way around the edge. Give them a good water. Just a little bit of deadheading where necessary. So these have been in the cold frame now for 2 to 3 weeks. And I'm sure they're going to give me a lovely display here. And then once I've got them in, I'll rearrange the lights here from the solar light. It's a lovely one there. And I'll carry on planting these round. Show you what they look like in a minute. Well, these will fill out over the next couple of weeks, and as long as we keep them dead-headed, they're going to give us plenty of colour throughout the next summer months. Going to look really lovely here. Just got a few bedding plants to put into the troughs now, so I'll show you that. But whilst I'm here, I've got my peas and courgettes just growing on the side, so I'm going to just swing the camera around and show you the peas and that in the pots. So let's just swing that, and I can turn that around there. So we have courgettes growing in this pot here, and peas in that pot there, and then just down here we have our sweet peas, which are going to grow and give us a lovely scent at the back of the house as well. Right, let's move down to the troughs. Well, it's got very warm over the last couple of days, temperature up into the 30s. Not ideal for planting things out, but the plants that I've been growing in their little individual pots are starting to struggle to hold the moisture. You can see there's a lot of root in here, so hopefully they're going to be okay to transplant now. Weather stays like this, I'm not going to plant the Philadelphus until I can actually get some moisture in the ground and make the ground suitable to plant that. So I'll probably just leave that for this week and see what we can do next week. But these little salvias, bit of summer bedding, they should be absolutely fine, and they'll be happier growing in here than they will in the little pots in the cold frame. So I'm just going to plant a few of them in here. So they've enjoyed it in the cold frame, but now they're just not getting enough moisture in there. So hopefully by putting them in here, I can give them a more complete drink. And so I'll plant all of these into this little trough here, and then I'll put something else to trail along the front. I think I've got some lobelia growing in the greenhouse, so we might have that growing along the front as well. Give ourselves a little bit of colour. then once I've got this planted and watered, I'm going to put up our pop-up gazebo over the top here, give them a little bit of shade and protection from this direct sunlight. Well, that brings me to the end of this little show for you, and we've just been covering a bit of planting, getting our summer beds sorted out, and so I hope you found it useful, hope you found it enjoyable, and I'll be back in a week or so's time with a little show that I'm going to be calling Cutting Summer Down to Size, because we're going to be cutting, tidying and putting things into a nice shape. So I will leave you now, so stay well, stay safe, be kind to each other, and with a little glass, happy gardening. Cheers.